evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ghost Biker Garage. I am your host, the Ghost Biker, and happy Thursday. I hope everyone is having a great week. I know we've been sort of having a really busy, kind of hectic week here, getting everything ready for the jail grand opening, which is next weekend. And so we've been putting a lot of different calls out on Facebook, asking people for their stories. If you worked in the historic Scott County Jail, if you were a deputy, a sheriff, if you were a jailer or a jailer's family that maybe perhaps lived in the bottom of the jail, or even someone who spent time in the jail. We want stories from inmates. We are working on our audio tour that's going to be available with your purchase into the museum. And so we're working all that, getting all of that together. So go check out the posts if you've got different stories. We also spent the past week and the past weekend meeting with vendors who are going to be selling items in the gift shop. So we've got some really cool things. Also been getting branded historic Scott County Jail items in. We got a lot of cool stuff planned with that we'll be announcing and everything through the week. That we've been working on here. I want to say hello to a few people who are already in the chat room. Hello, Michelle, Janet, Lisa. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We've got a great guest tonight that I'll get to here in just a few minutes. But just wanted to kind of cover a few little things, a few little things that are coming up. The biggest thing that we got coming up is the grand unlocking ceremony next Saturday. So if you are a paranormal investigator, if you're a history buff, if you're a Scott Countyan, if you're just someone that loves visiting museums and jails and different locations like that, definitely want to come out to the grand unlocking party next week. It's going to be from noon until 4. We've got food trucks. We've also got Mother Legacy Band that's going to be performing. And then you'll also be able to tour the jail. We've also got hotel information that we've posted. It is a very rural area. And it is right in the middle of the Big South Fork and Brimstone Recreation. And it's going to be on Labor Day weekend. So if you are coming from out of town, I definitely suggest that you look at that list and get your reservations in early, because the closest hotel is 5 minutes away and everything else is right around 20 minutes over at the interstate and another county over. There are some cabins. I don't really know a whole lot of information on those specifically, but again, things do book up with it being a very busy weekend, Labor Day and everything. So you definitely want to check that out. But I want to go ahead and introduce tonight's guest, because she's a fellow Tennessean, and I love having folks that are from my home state that are doing things in the paranormal community. And I tell you, this lady is doing things. She is the founder of the Elk Valley Paranormal, which is also known as EVP, and they are the host team for investigations as well as special events at the Old Fayetteville Hospital in Lincoln County, Tennessee. And she's traveled to many unique and interesting locations, which we're going to talk about here shortly. She's also an author of, I believe, 3 books. We're going to talk about those in detail and let you know how you can find some of those books and read some of her work. So if you have any questions over here in the chat room, feel free to post your questions or your comments. We will, once we kind of get to a break in our conversation, we will pull your comments up. And I just don't want to interrupt, my guest while she's speaking. So I will definitely get to those. So I hope you guys will help me in welcoming my friend, Cyn Shrader Hill on. Hey, Cyn, how are you?
Amanda, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were going to have her on a few weeks ago when I was investigating in Ohio at the haunted Post-Town Elementary School. Due to heavy traffic and travel and everything, I was not able to get back in time. So we did have to postpone that. But I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here to talk to us tonight.
I'm so glad to be here. So glad. Just appreciate you. And it looks like somebody's saying hi. Hey.
We've
That's
got
awesome.
We got a lot of folks here in the chat room tonight. So if you want to tell us kind of how you got started on your paranormal journey, if you've had any experiences, how you got started doing what you do.
And all my life, I have been a little confused as to different things that had happened. I found out later in life that I'm sensitive. Had no idea. So growing up sensitive and not understanding it and not having all the ghost shows that they have now, we don't have Amy Allen on to talk to us and tell us, hey, you might be sensitive. She wasn't on back when I was a kid. So I suffered panic attacks from all this stuff. And, I could feel things and see shadows and that kind of thing. Never saw a full apparition when I was young, but that happened later. But still, severe panic attacks until I figured out later on, oh, I'm getting everybody's energy that I'm around, and that's what's causing all of this. So the spirits around me, if they're riled up or if they're happy or whatever, it's giving me all this energy bombarding me, and I'm able now to deal with it so I can calm myself down. I've learned meditation from my great friend Mark Elliott Fultz. He's a psychic that has also done all of the artwork for my books.
Very nice.
And he's terrific. He's terrific. So he's taught me meditation. He's taught me just several different things that I could apply to myself to keep myself calm and actually teach others as well.
So sorry to interrupt. How did you kind of come to the realization that was what was happening? Because I know that I've spoke with some different people, and I know there are some in the chat room as well that deal with that are sensitive. How did you kind of find out what was going on to help you deal with those anxiety attacks? And did it help once you found out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, now I don't have problems with them. If I feel an anxiety attack coming on, I just do some deep breathing, go into a self white light, little meditation just to calm myself down, grab some lavender or whatever, just to get away from the situation, get some fresh air. But growing up, no, I had no clue. And I'm 57. So it took me, and I guess until the last 20 years, I finally learned all of this, how to deal with it within that last 20 years. So that first 30 something was hell to deal with. I couldn't understand it. My stomach was always torn up. I would go to different places, love going to any place that's haunted. Tombstone, to Alcatraz, I've been to all those places and loved it. And while I would be in there, I would just have these sensations and not understand. I wasn't seeing anything. I wasn't seeing an apparition. I wasn't, I might see a shadow maybe, but mostly it was just that intense energy that was just bombarding me. And, when you're sensitive, they know it. And so they continue to come in on you, wanting to talk to you. And if you don't know what the hell you're doing, then you can't do anything about it. And it causes even more anxiety. So up until the last 20 years, I didn't know what to do. And I suffered with that. So for all of you out there that actually are suffering panic attacks, just kind of notice where you are when it happens. Are you around a lot of people? Are you in a closed-in area with maybe 2 or 3 people that might have a little argument going on? Or, there might be some tension involved. You might be in a haunted spot that something is there, you can't see it, or you might be able to see it and it's trying to talk to you. And all of that is bombarding you. If you can just calm down, recenter yourself, ground yourself, white light yourself, make sure you're safe. Always make sure you're safe. but you can get through this. I promise. If I have put up with it for over 30 years and, come through it to tell about it, anybody can. I promise. I promise.
Did you notice that you were typically in haunted locations or in specific areas when you were having these attacks?
I have noticed in the last probably 10 years now that, and I don't know if it's just the way the world is going now. I don't know. There's just a lot of chaos. A lot more people are interested in ghost hunting. A lot more people are trying ghost hunting, whether they know what they're doing or not. Um, People leaving things open, not closing their investigations,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Terrible. It's a terrible situation to leave that investigation open. Anything like a spirit board, leaving it open, a voice recorder, leaving it open. Always make sure to close it. Therefore, that door is closed. The spirits know it's closed. They can't come through anymore. So you protect yourself, you protect those around you. But the fact that so many people don't know, and usually they're newbies, going out, want to try. It's fun. It's fun. It's not a game, but it kind of looks like it could be. If we go try this, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Well, it's not a game, first off, and you might get bit if you don't take precautions. So, just beware. Look around, kind of check your surroundings. Notice how you're feeling, because your best indicator is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's in here. If you get a gut feeling to get the hell out, you better get the hell out. Regardless, just get out. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you've always got to listen to your gut,
Always.
I mean, because it definitely won't steer you wrong. And especially when you're in an investigation, even if you're not there seeking out something darker or whatever, it can just be more of an aggressive type activity that really wants to talk to you. If you feel you need to step out of the situation, the best thing you can do is just take a breather, step outside, and go back at a better time.
Exactly. Or even have something rush at you. Have you ever had something
I have.
rush at you? That can be pretty scary. I've had that
Yeah.
happen twice. And the first time it happened, I had no clue what was going on, no clue whatsoever, and came out of nowhere. You just feel like you're all of a sudden in a bubble, and it's getting
Mm-hmm.
smaller and smaller, and that can cause some pretty bad panic attacks right there. But yeah, so there's some spirits out there that are very easy to get along with. They just want to talk. They just want to see what you're doing. They're curious about you, just like you're curious about them. And then there's others that just want to be left alone regardless. They don't care. They don't want you.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how hard you try to get them to
Mhm.
communicate.
Yeah, and you can be so nice.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
absolutely. Well, let's talk about your team a little bit and
Okay.
how you started that. When you got interested in the paranormal, did you do solo investigation or did you go and develop a team at that point?
I actually joined a team after my dad died. So what happened? My dad died in 2001, right after 9/11. He not involved in 9/11. It was just after the fact. And I had just come home. It was like one of those things that I was a traveling physical therapy assistant, and they asked me where I wanted to go from Washington State. And I said, Alaska. And they said, we don't have anything in Alaska right now. Is there anywhere else? And I said, no, I'm just going to go home for a while then until you get that. And then I'll go back. I'll just take a break, 2 3 month break. And I came home my second month and dad died. So it was just, I was supposed to be there. One of
Mhm.
those things. It was a massive heart attack, completely unexpected. And so I've never left after that. Um, it took me about I want to say somewhere between 3 and 5 years before I actually even had a dream about him. And I wanted to so bad. I was such a daddy's girl. And I wanted to so bad. And he never could dream about him. I never could hear from him. Mom heard his footsteps. She heard him take a shower in the bathroom, just different things. But I never got to. It was not until my cousin had someone come down to investigate her art studio. And that was Ghost Hunters of Southern Tennessee. James and
Okay.
Wayne were the founders. They came down and brought their team and investigated hers. I asked her about them, got in touch with them. They came down to me as well. And that night, I was the trigger object at my dad and mom's old auto parts store. It had been closed up for at least 3 years that I remember, maybe longer. No, it was longer than that. But the power had only been turned off maybe 2 years.
Okay.
But still, no power, no water, no nothing. And my husband was down there with me, and bless his heart, he does not go for all this stuff, but he supports me, and he's like, whatever makes you happy, just be safe. So I'm
Right.
going to get you a few crosses to take with you, that kind of thing. And I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But he was actually down there, and they took a break. The founders went outside. Now, remember, there's no electricity, no water, no utilities at all. We're in the pitch black with flashlights. And they had a K2. They had a few things, video camera and a still camera.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember much more. Maybe the spirit rods. Can't remember much more, but they might have had a few more pieces. Laser grid. They did have the laser grid.
Yes.
Anyway, so they're doing all this stuff, and they decide to take a break because nothing's happening. I'm just standing in the dark talking to my dad, hoping he's going to talk back. Didn't hear a dang thing, nothing. So they take a break, and I'm talking to my husband inside, and a couple of the other team members sat down to go through their cameras just to check battery status and all that kind of stuff. And a rock was thrown straight across the floor, skidded across the floor like, hey, I was talking. You can't take a break right now. Get back to work. And so they went running out. They said, James, there was a rock thrown. He came in. My husband tried to, let's see if this was it. Skidded across the floor. Yep, that was the sound. It was that rock. Why is a rock inside a store? I don't know. I've not seen a rock inside the store before. But so anyway, we got back to work. Interestingly enough, the only place that their K2 lit up was in the exact spot that my dad's office chair sat for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Nowhere else. And they've got two EVPs. One was downstairs in the old basement. And the old basement was, old. It was used back in the late 1800s as a turkey slaughterhouse. And then it was built up, and there was like the Red Cross and an ice cream factory on the second floor, which became the first floor after the road was built up. Right. Okay. So the first floor, that turkey slaughterhouse, became our basement. They still had the old vats down there, everything. And they got an EVP down there, and they got an EVP upstairs. Have no idea who it was, but they said, holy mackerel. No idea. My dad never said it. I never heard anybody in my family say it. I never heard any of the workers down there say it. So it had to be from like the 20s, back when the ice cream was going on, or something else. The one they got in the basement was clucking. We had turkey ghost down in that basement.
How cool.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was incredible. So you just never know what you're going to find. And that night, they asked me to join them after all that. So I became their case manager and was with them for a couple of years before I decided to branch off and then have my own down here. So that's what happened there.
So let's talk about down there where you're at.
Yeah. So the Elk Valley area. And while I was with Ghost Hunters of Southern Tennessee, I kept thinking, I want my own. I've wanted my own for a while. I've got the perfect name for it. It would be so great because I love working with audio. Oh, EVPs, I love them. I love them. And Elk Valley Paranormal was born. And so my co founder came over with me and we started adding people to the group that, meshed and
Yeah.
also brought different talents to us. And we have actually worked with several different teams. We had investigated with several different teams and love doing that because, you get more, you know, you,
Absolutely.
and you see how another team gets to work while they get to see how you work and do things. So everybody learns something.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
did it take you a while to find your team? I'm always interested to ask people this because I started out with a team and it was a great group of guys. And at the time, I was the only female on the team, and then we later on had another female join after I'd been on there about 6 years. And it can be challenging to find people that mesh because you go into these really different and intense situations. And
Exactly.
so kudos to you for finding a good team that you work well with.
I tell you what, it takes a while though. And the team you see in that black and white still is missing one person, Chrissy. And we also, Mark works with us when he can.
Mhm.
We use him for remote viewings and any kind of questions we might have of a situation. But that is basically our team right there. And me and Sean are the co-founders. But we actually had about 13 people at one time.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, some people would do things, others you just can't make them do.
Mhm.
You can teach them as much as you can, but if they don't apply it, then why the hell are they in the group? They're
Right.
just tagging along to see if they can see ghosts. So I had to chop most of them over the years. So there's Chrissy.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, you just kind of have to work. And I still have a buddy too that was in that original big group. His
Uh-huh.
name's Matthew. I hope he's listening. Matthew, I call on him quite a bit. He is a ghost magnet.
Okay.
So he and I have been to Hell's Bar together. We've been to a couple of other places together. And I always like to bring Matthew because Matthew, it seems like they just come out for him. They just are drawn to him for some reason, and he's great to have around.
Did you had mentioned that several of your people that are on your team they have different either different abilities or different sort of specialties. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of what your team consists of with each member?
Absolutely. So my favorite thing to do is audio, and I take care of overall. Um, Whatever. Sean was brought in as the debunker. He
Oh,
is
okay.
Mr. Debunker. He is Mr. Skeptic. And he was Mr. Skeptic for several months until he was scared to death at the old hospital. And I have told a couple of stories about him. Love him to death like a brother. Would not do without him, I can't do without him. He's just too fun to have on the team, but he is fantastic at debunking and finding, oh, you got too much electricity going through this room. There's too many appliances. You've got this going on up here. What is the power coming through here? Have you checked it? He's just really smart as far as that kind of thing. And he can look at it objectively
Hmm.
and say, you know, that could have been a shadow, but probably it wasn't. It was this, and he'll be the first one to tell somebody if they send him a picture, that's a damn bug. That is not an orb. So,
That's
you
good
know,
that you guys have someone like that, because
oh yeah,
I do a
he's
lot of
fantastic.
collaborations, and I've collaborated with some people where everything is paranormal, and that's the being realistic about it. You know, if you take 800 pictures, which we can do with digital cameras now,
Oh yeah,
if you get one or two pictures that
exactly,
are considered unexplainable. I mean, I'm not even saying
exactly.
paranormal. If you get, I mean, if you get five, you're doing well. But if you get one
Oh
or
my
two that are
gosh,
truly out of 800,
it's
you're,
a big night. It's
it
a big
is.
night
It
if you
is.
can get that. It's
Hmm.
amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, too many people rely on orbs. And yeah, there is such a thing as orbs. If
Hmm.
you go to our website, there's two on the old hospital page. There
Okay.
are two really good videos. And yeah, go to evidence, old hospital,
Okay.
and scroll down. Are you in? I think you're actually in the book information.
Oh, I know.
That's the
I
third
had hit
book.
the okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So old hospital.
Well, there
Yeah.
we go. There we
So
go.
yeah, so if you scroll down and there's just some pictures of the old hospital and you're going to come across a still. Now that is the first video. Sean took that on a Halloween evening. And
Okay.
if you click on that, you're going to see an orb come out of the wall and go back. And it's trying to get your attention off of what's happening on the floor. So
Huh.
if you look on the floor back behind, starting into the shadow area, something shoots across the floor. And there is something else
Yeah.
that is trying to manifest right there. So it
Wow.
was did you see it?
I did see it. I'm going to play that again, making sure. Is it showing up okay on the video?
Uh huh.
Okay, good. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
definitely see that
Yeah. And
going
then
across
if
the back.
it's kind of creepy. And if you go on down, you're going to find a still of look at the purple still a little bit farther down. Lots of scratches and that kind of stuff that had happened. Still just more information right there.
Okay.
The
Right here on the left.
infrared, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That is the creeper, and he is all over the hospital. He actually, we don't know where he came from. We don't know if he was something that was conjured. We don't know if it was something that dropped off of somebody else. We don't know. We don't know. But he's not there for anything good. He's all over the place. But to me, in that still, he looks like a cross between the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and the Michelin Man. If you scroll down to see the video, he moves so freaking fast you're not going to be able to see it for the first few times. So that's why we got the still there so you can kind of see it. And there he's gone. So, I mean, it's a split second
Wow.
that you have to watch that particular video over and over.
Okay, so I'm wondering
It's really close.
if I can move it little by little.
Yeah. It's pretty close to the
Let's see.
beginning, right around in there. He's just walked past, I think. Oh, no, yeah, back it up. Back it
Back it
up.
up.
Yeah. Because he's already gone.
Oh, right
There
there.
he is.
You can
Yeah.
see it when it
Yeah. I mean, he was moving. He was like, oh crap.
So you hear the person say, I think I picked something up there in
Yeah.
the hallway. Did he see that through the camera, or did
He,
he see that with his eye?
both. He
Wow.
had the camera rolling and he was looking around and actually caught it on camera while he was looking that way.
Wow.
So Billy, our videographer, caught that.
I don't know if you all can see where I'm moving it slowly
It's
like that.
so fat. There he is.
Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
see him
But he does not want to be caught.
and you can tell it's not something there on, I mean, like in the room because there's a clear shot of the room
Exactly.
and he's gone.
Exactly. That's in the bottom crossroads of the old hospital.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that old hospital, it's closed right now. The
Uh-huh.
owner has still got it closed to investigations and any groups coming in. Unfortunately, we're hoping he will get to open it back up, but so far it's been closed for 3 years now, and he's been working on cleaning out asbestos and all that kind of stuff for the city to be happy. So it takes a while,
Yeah.
and so it's closed up for right now. And I just wonder what they're doing inside there right now. They're probably like, oh, thank God they're leaving us alone for a little while at least.
Well,
But that's
that's
the
a great
most.
catch.
Thank you. Thank you. And Billy did a great job catching that. And Sean did a great job on the camera above. He had set up his trail cam to catch anything and everything while we were in a different spot and caught
Yeah.
that.
I mean, that's and I'm one of those people, like when we touched on with orbs. Um I've had a few strange instances on my home security cameras with an orb. But for the most part, a lot of the time, because my background's in photography, so a lot of the time I debunk a lot of pictures. You won't see me post a whole lot of pictures from mine because a lot of the time I go through and I'm taking pictures before an investigation just so I can go back during, because when you're in an investigation during the heat of the moment, a lot of the time, things don't look the same, at
Exactly.
night and everything. So I take a lot of photos for that. And I've come across a few unexplained images, but I'm not one to say orbs aren't a thing because I'm open minded, but I believe the majority of things are either pareidolia or something that can be explained. But
Right.
this is a really good catch. That's very
That's
cool.
that's what we were thinking. That's what we're thinking. And
Yeah,
like you said, orbs usually are bugs or,
yeah,
a flare of the camera or something like that. But that one going back into the wall to get your eye off of what's really
mm-hmm,
happening is
mm-hmm.
just too cool to us.
Yeah,
It's just too cool.
yeah, and that's always a great way to analyze your photos and your videos is when you've got several different things that work together, either multiple tools that work together, or you're capturing multiple things in a site like that because there will be things that happen to distract you from what's going on. Um,
Exactly.
John makes an interesting point here in the chat room. He says, I always wondered why entities shy away from the camera. You would think if it wanted you to dread its presence, it would want you to see it.
Yeah, I think
Interesting
most
point.
of them just want to be left alone. Just, you know, we don't understand them. They're on a different plane.
Mm-hmm.
They're on a different frequency. They vibrate differently from us, and I think we just worry the hell out of them. Honestly, there's so many of us that are interested in it, and you get new groups every day, and
Mm-hmm.
new shows come out every day, which make more people say, oh, I want to go try. Oh, I've got to go over there. Let me go try this. Let's get a K2. A lot of the hauntings that we've had to help in someone's house is because they have ordered a K2 or they have ordered even copper rods, and
Mm-hmm.
they've started talking. One of the worst is to get an ovulus and actually get the words spoken or written back, and once they get a bite, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, let's ask this, and they're hooked.
Yeah.
Well, that's not such a good thing because now this is open because they don't know how to close it.
Hmm.
And it we've had some serious issues that we've had to go and cleanse, smudge, the whole bit and call in for extra help to come with
Hmm.
these. Um,
So you all do
it,
residentials?
yeah, we love residentials. We just love it's the last 2 years though, it's been mostly that we have helped people sage themselves
Mm.
at home because of all the COVID stuff. And you can't, there's a lot of people that don't want you to be around them, and that's cool.
Hmm.
But for the most part, when all the COVID crap started in early 2020, it seems like chaos just ensued. And more people were writing in saying, something's going on in my house. I've got shadows popping up. Matthew and I were talking about this, and we think it's just because the world has just gotten chaotic with
Hmm.
everything. And, all of our energy is just fried right now.
Hmm.
We don't we don't know how to stay calm.
Yeah, that's true. We
You
freak
know,
out over
we just
toilet paper. you know,
exactly.
and
Yes.
two, I've just kind of wondered if there could be a rise in residentials because people are home more. One of the
I think
things,
there were.
yeah, and
I
one of
think
the things I always notice is a lot of people, you know, because I'm always telling people that it's like there's a lot of things going on around us. We just don't always listen. We don't take the
yeah.
time to listen and or really pay attention. And so I sort of wonder a lot of these folks who are home, they're home all the time. Their mind is focused elsewhere and they're kind of in that heightened energy panic state. That's probably a lot of the reason that residentials were spiking.
Well, that's when we've had several of them say, I was just sitting on the couch minding my own business, was had the television on, we were just vegging out and saw something out of the corner of my eye, which is usually where it happens. You see
Mhm.
everything in your periphery. And then as you get more used to it, it seems to kind of work a little bit closer. And if you're lucky, you can see a real apparition. I've been lucky enough to see, I think, three real apparitions
Wow.
and several shadows. I mean, several shadows, but three real apparitions. Other than that, it's just been shadow work and, you know, who knows? A lot of smells, a lot of sounds. You might hear some music playing, you might hear somebody singing. That happens a lot at the old hospital around Christmas time. It seems like everything ramps up and everybody is in like a more of a festive spirit. And so they're kind of singing, walking around singing. You can't see them, but they're happy.
That's
So
really
that's
cool.
really cool. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so let me ask you about your apparitions, because I've had this conversation with several different people before. Um, did they look like everyday people, or were they, or was there something a little different about them? Because I've heard it both ways when I've talked to people.
Right. The first one I saw was so quick that I just saw her head and shoulders, and it was at the old hospital. It was the little girl that we call Mary. She We were taking a group around and we were in the maternity ward, and I saw this, happened to look over really quick, and she just kind of sucked back in
Mm,
and through the doorway and was gone. But it was the little girl. And I just saw her from here up, and then she was gone. The next apparition I saw was the most beautiful redheaded woman I've ever seen in my life. It was at a residential. Um, I was sitting there talking to the woman, and she had a flat screen TV in front that, of course, was not turned on.
okay.
And I saw this bright red hair. And I mean, this woman was dressed. She had like an evening gown on with one of those scarves that flows down the back. I mean, this was like old, yeah, I don't
Mhm.
know, 50s, maybe something like that, looked like a 50s evening gown. And she was gorgeous. Red hair fell down her back, and she was just simply beautiful. And I looked, and she was gone. If I had just kept looking at the television and watching her, I could have seen her more. But
Mhm.
no, you just kind of have to look.
Mhm.
She was there. She was right behind me, just floating right by. Gorgeous woman. The third apparition I've ever seen was not human. It was
Gotcha.
not. This thing was the best I can describe it was a black cloudy mass that floated over me, and I could see its eyes. And I said, I think I saw something. Just talking to myself because I was sitting there by myself. And I had sent everybody else out of the room just so hopefully I could catch something because nothing was happening.
Mhm.
Nothing. And I'd heard a couple of taps and I said, if that was you, you got to do better. You got to
Mhm.
do just a little bit more. Can you let me hear you? Something. And it floated over me. And I said, oh, I think I saw something. And the EVP right after said, it was me.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know who me is, but it was me. But
See,
yeah, no, that thing was not alive ever.
gotcha. Yeah, and
It was,
those are always the unnerving ones.
yeah. And this one, he wasn't trying to scare. Well, yeah, I guess he was. I guess he was trying to scare everybody because he had slapped the counter to try to scare customers off. And he was floating over me, trying to scare me. So, yeah, I guess he was kind of bullying to do
Mhm.
that. But he was more of a mischief maker, really, it turns out. Because after I saw that, I got all my stuff together, couldn't get him to do anything else, sat there for maybe 10 or 15 more minutes, nothing else happened, got up, went back to where everybody else was so we could continue questioning and in a different part. And I always say this in a house or wherever I am. If you're with me, follow me. Come on. I know you're here. Come on with me. And the EVP running down the hall with me was, oh, we're running, 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 running. Where are we going? Where are we going? So
Wow.
I love, I love audio stuff. Love it.
So, are your favorite audio clips, are they just the straight EVPs, or do you like the ITC aided spirit box type EVPs? What are your favorite types of audio?
The thing I use the most is just a Sony digital recorder, and I
Okay.
download it to my computer and use Audacity to clean it up.
Mhm. That's
And
what I like to do.
I'm telling you, that's to me, that's the easiest and
Mhm.
the cleanest.
Yeah.
And I can amplify what I need to and take the noise out and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff to hear what needs to be heard. Um, so, what you saw when you went to on the evidence, that first page you pulled up,
Uh-huh.
that was my third book. So it was
Okay.
my third book was actually supposed to be my first book, but I didn't know how to get the concept across because I knew I wanted to have people be able to hear the EVPs and all that kind of stuff. And so that are you speaking? They're
Yeah.
speaking. Are you listening? My third book. You can actually get that book, go through, and each EVP that you come to, go to that page and listen to it.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yes,
Well,
there's over 100 there. There's over 100. Now,
let's
one of
talk
my
about your books. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say one of my favorite ones there was at a residential. And like I said, I know when something's around me. And even though I might not be able to see them, I say, I know you're here. Come on, go with me, go with me. And so I was just going through the house, taking pictures, hoping to catch something, never caught anything in photos, nothing that night. But audio was out I mean, unbelievable. And I kept saying, okay, come with me now, come with me now. So the best EVP I got that night was, I got better things to do than to follow you around all night.
Is that one are we able to play that one?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
let me go there and you
Absolutely.
tell me which one that is, and,
Okay. You're
let's
going to have to
see.
go. Let me, got to put the glasses on for this.
Yeah, because I just turned the audio on here, so hopefully we can, hear the audio on this
Yeah.
one.
Let me see. You're going to have to go down to family renovations.
Let's see here. As the, header?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's after, yeah, it's, I think one more after
Okay.
that. Family renovations. All right. And I believe it's number 5.
Okay, let's see.
Actually, I have better things to do.
Alright,
Yeah.
let's see if we can get this playing.
Come with me.
Wow.
Did you tell?
Wow, yeah. And of course, I've got my headphones on. I don't know. I encourage the folks in the chat room, if you're not listening with headphones, to check this out.
Right.
Let's
And
play
you
it
might
again.
have to listen to it 2 or 3 times to
Let's play
actually
that
hear
again.
that, even with headphones.
No, you can hear the actually, and I get a little fuzzy in the middle. I need to listen
Mhm.
to it a couple more times, but you can hear the actually I have, and then you around all night. You can hear that clear. I'll play it one more time. Whoops. If I can.
Come with me.
Wow. Wow.
So, so that book's my baby. That's my baby. And like I said, you can go through and hear every one of them. So that was fun to finally figure out how I wanted it to go. Oh, thank you. I hope you get the book and actually go through and read all of them.
Yeah,
You
so
get
so
to hear
let's
all
talk
of them.
about
Yeah.
all of your books, and then we'll talk about how people can find them, and
Okay.
that they can go and listen to these EVPs.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm self-published, which means all 3 books are on Amazon, and it's in paperback and in Kindle. If you have Kindle and have Kindle Unlimited, all 3 you can get free and read them. So they come free with Kindle Unlimited. Um, and let's see, what the first one I wrote, like I said, that was going to be my first one, but it's not. It ended up being 3. The first one was Whispers in the Dark. That's the one on the far left right there, Whispers in the Dark. True ghost stories. There's 23 stories there that have actually happened to me and or my team. There are 18 of those stories that are in this county I live in, Lincoln County, Tennessee. So Fayetteville, Flintville area, that kind of thing. We're like 30 miles north of Huntsville, Alabama, for those that don't know exactly where we are. We're 80 miles south of Nashville, 30 miles north of Huntsville. We're an hour and a half from Chattanooga. So we're right in the middle, right? So we get a little bit of everything. We got some Hell's Bar information in the first and the third book.
Ah,
That the
I love Hell's Bar.
oh man,
Yeah,
great.
one of
Oh,
my favorites.
I have, and I've got an incredible story about that if you want to hear it.
Oh, absolutely.
That third book on the right, that one is a fiction book. So those first 2 are true stories. The fiction book, Web of Terror, Mark Fultz, the one that does all of my artwork, he did all those covers. I love his covers.
Beautiful
He
artwork.
did the yeah. If you can see on my wall, he did the back of my t-shirts, my team t-shirts. He's incredible. He's incredible. So he did actually 4 of the stories in Web of Terror, and I did 8. And again, those are just fiction. We were having fun with it to see if we could do it. And so all that craziness and all that weirdness that came out in the stories was up in our head. And we had to get it out. But the first 2 books, true stories, And like, you can go and listen to all of those EVPs. And the first book, like I said, 23 stories. There are two at the Lynchburg Haunted Home also.
Mm.
So if anyone's been to the Lynchburg area, Lynchburg Haunted Home, if you look up Dark Spectre, and reach out to Adam, he's in charge of that. So he kind of takes care of, Lynchburg Haunted Home and getting them up and going. So
I've
Adam's a
heard
pretty good
good
guy.
things about that location. I have not been able to investigate yet,
Have
but
you not? If
I've
you get a
not.
chance to come down here, Amanda, let me know. I'll go
Okay.
with you because it is
Okay.
a freaking creepy place.
Oh,
It is.
I love doing um, funeral homes and such. So I
It's
know that
creepy.
that would be great.
Yeah, and they've got as you go in the door, there is a portal on the right-hand side as you go in. And a lot of yucky stuff was coming up through that. A lot of I don't even know how to explain, just almost oily, kind of creepy, yucky things, not
Hmm.
even human, just kind of leaching out and coming in and all over the place. So they had a lot going on, and they still do have a lot going on. Really
Wow.
cool place to go. And there's also across, and I've not been to their Lynchburg jail. It's also haunted. So it's right
Yeah,
across the street.
Lynchburg. I had Ronnie on a few weeks ago, and he talked about just everything that there is to do in Lynchburg. I mean, Lynchburg has
It's,
a lot of
it's
haunted,
great.
very cool
Yeah.
locations.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
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 I'm
Really good.
glad to see them embracing that, the history with the distilleries and such, and then also just their haunted nature. It's really cool to see that they're embracing that, and that you have options. When you go to the town, you could probably go to the town for actually probably more than a weekend, because I think there's like 3 or 4 places there you can investigate, I think.
Exactly. Exactly. And just know, whenever you go into a place, if you get a creepy feeling, there's a reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's supposedly haunted or not. If you go in and get a creepy feeling, something's going on there. Something's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Not skinwalker weird, I hope. No, they just had some ickiness and some strange people that kind of went through ownership and different things passed down, and I don't know what all, but just weirdness. That you
And
can still go into the embalming room and everything there.
okay. So, and what's the excuse me? What's the best way for people if they want to find out more about your books? We've got your Facebook page pulled up here.
Yeah,
Is that
you
one of the
can.
best ways?
That is. And if you, I believe I've got it set, if you click on that blue button, it will take you right to the Amazon one. I think it'll take you to They're Speaking, Are You Listening book. But
Oh,
you
okay.
can find them all if you go to Amazon and type in Cyn Shrader Hill. It'll pull up
Okay.
those books.
It does. Yeah. I've got to change. It opens as a new window. So I have to change my screen that it views. Let's see here. Mm, There we go. Yeah. It pulls them up.
Yeah. So you can get paperback, you can get the Kindle version. They're there.
This is great. This is great. Like I said, I mean, I love having folks on my show that are doing things, and you're doing it. I mean, you've these books look fantastic, and I love how you have the website set up where people can
Thank
go
you.
and listen to the different EVPs. I mean, this is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm working on a book now. If you or any of your listeners out there have had any kind of experience, what I'm writing about is it's not goodbye, signs from beyond. So I'm talking about everything from signs we get from our loved ones after they've passed, where they're an
Hmm.
old photo just shows up out of nowhere, or even driving down the road, you hear that special song that only they sang all the time. Little things like that. Feathers,
Hmm.
pennies,
Yep.
cardinals, all those signs.
Hmm.
But I'm also looking for actual visitors.
Hmm.
Have you had someone come back to visit with you? Um, and people on their deathbeds, when, like my grandmother, when she was dying, she saw her mother and father, and her, I believe it was an aunt and her sons, didn't see her own brothers and sisters, but saw her mother and father, who had gone way before, because my grandmother
Hmm.
was 97 at the
Hmm.
time. And so long before, and I think the cousins that she saw were back in the 20s and 30s. They
Okay.
maybe lived up through the 50s, something like that. But those are the people she was seeing and talking to. Of course, mom never saw them when she would go, or any of us would go in and see her. Interesting story about my grandmother. And this is going to be in this next book. She had advanced Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
So you'd go in, and sometimes she would know you, most of the time she would not. Or if you go in and I'd say, "Hey, Nanny, hey," and she'd go, "Well, hey, I haven't seen you in forever." I go, I know." And I'd turn around and to move something, and I turn back around, and she'd go, "Well, hey, honey, is it medicine time again?" So
Hmm.
I wasn't who I was when I first came in. So when my dad dies, now, my grandmother loved him. This was not even her son. It was her son-in-law, and she loved him so much. And so mom went to tell her that he had just died. And she said, "Cindy, please come with me. I can't, I just can't, just come." So she gets there, and another thing, my grandmother always called her mom, my mother,
Okay.
mama. So my mom became her mom, in the advanced stages. So anyway, she could hear her calling, "Mama, where's mama?" And she grew up on a dairy farm. So when mom walks in, she goes, "Mama, how many eggs did you milk today?" She was back to that little girl. And mom goes, "Mother, I've got to tell you something, and it's pretty serious, and I don't know what I'm going to do." And Nanny clicked, and she said, "Well, come here, baby. Sit down by me. Put your head in my lap." And so mom put her head in her lap, and she started patting her head, and she said, "Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what's wrong." And mom said, "Doug died, and I'm lost." And it was just tearful. It was just awful. And Nanny talked to her, and she said, "You're going to be fine. He was such a good man. I loved him so much. He was such a good person, but you're going to be fine. You're strong, and you're going to get through this." And then, split second, and she goes, "Mama, how many cows did you milk today?"
Wow.
Gone.
Wow.
So God was
That's
there
right.
and let her be there for mom
Hmm.
when mom needed her the most. It's
That's right.
incredible. It's incredible. So I'm looking for stories. Any
Yeah.
deathbed stories, any visitor stories, any signs. I've got several people that. There's one guy that had a guide dog to help him get out of the woods. It was incredible.
Wow.
Incredible. Yeah. So anything. I've had a ghost cat, and several people have had ghost animals with them. So I've got a section on ghost animals that visit us and everything. So
Wow.
anybody, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to include you in the next book.
Is the best way to reach out on your Facebook page?
Yes, yes. You
Okay.
can you can also email me at Cyn Shrader Hill author at Gmail,
Okay.
or through the Elk Valley Paranormal website. You can just send me a contact request, and just
Okay.
it goes straight to my email that way.
And I'll make sure that I've got all of that in the show notes, because this will re-air on YouTube, and then it will also re-air on mymix1041.com. So it will re-air there on Saturday. And I'll tell you this, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. But you'd mentioned that about the different signs, and interestingly enough, after my dad had passed away back in 2019, it was the same kind of situation. You had mentioned unexpected heart attack, and it had, he was in great health. No one really expected it at all, and he passed away in November, and so at Christmas time, you know how like jewelry stores and such, they'll send out their marketing materials, and they're trying to sell some type of necklace or whatever, and they'll go in, and it's that special kind of marketing where they can put like your name on it and a message. So it was a letter, or I mean a marketing piece addressed to my dad, and it was, show your wife that you love her. And so on the piece, it had this necklace, and on it said, and of course my mom's name is Sandra, and on it said, Sandra, I love you, from Harold. And
Wow.
even then, of course, I work in marketing, so I know how all of that side works. But it was so comforting, and I was there at my mom's when she took the letter out of the mailbox, and she was like, "Look at this. This is, I mean, it's a message."
Yes. I mean,
Yeah,
that kind of thing gives you chills. I
yeah,
just got chills on my arms. It just went straight up my back. So those are, and it happens so often.
yeah.
So often. There's so many stories out there. So
Hmm.
many.
Yeah, and it looks like for some reason my comments over here have froze. I'm seeing a thing that says new comments. Let me just do a test here to see if mine shows up in the chat. See if that will refresh it. Because I know that the folks in here with what we're talking about, they've got some great comments, and I want to make sure that, well, for some reason, mine didn't pull up there either. It just shows new comments and it's spinning. So hopefully I didn't, if anyone has said something or reached out, we'll try to maybe when we refresh here, they'll show up, or show up in the feed on Facebook. But when are you expecting that new book to come out?
Oh my gosh. It was supposed to be out last year. It was supposed to be out this year. Now I'm thinking if I can get it out in the spring, I'm going to be a lucky chick. So I'm hoping I can get it out in the spring. I had two good friends actually ask me this week about it. Yeah, have I missed your book? No. I'm just being a slug right now. I don't know. I don't know. I will get my motivation to get on this right now. But I'm working on this one, and I'm working on a darker stories, true
Hmm.
stories again. All these are going to be true. I don't think I'm going to go back to fiction again, because I'm just better at the true stories, because it seems like there's more of them out there, and there's too many
Mhm.
people writing fiction that's good. So I'll just stay away from that and just tell my true stories, and have people write in and tell me theirs. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible what I'm hearing about, people that have visited and different things. So,
I would imagine that's been an interesting one to write, because the stories, there's so much emotion and so much
oh man,
energy in those, and I would imagine you've got some great stories, and really probably just the experience of retelling those too, and
yeah,
being a sensitive person, that's kind of got to be sort of a mix of feelings, kind of heavy but kind of freeing in a way, and being able to
exactly.
share
And
this. I can only
that's why I
imagine.
wanted to write this. Yeah, I wanted to write it as a rather uplifting, where a lot of people don't care for ghost story books, but if they're going to read something about their past loved ones reaching out, that's different. To them, that's different.
Yeah.
It's not the same as a ghost story. So even though it might be a little strange in how they reach out or whatever. But
They do what
um,
they can, the way they can, you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And everybody's different.
Mhm.
Some people just don't go for that kind of information, and that's fine too. But do you have time for the black dog story?
I do. I do.
Okay. So a friend that I knew back in grade school through high school reached out to me, and he is really big into horses. His name is Kenny. I'm going to go ahead and name him Kenny Stone. And Kenny reached out to me with actually two stories for this new book. But this one, he helps with underprivileged camps. He's a great horseman, and so he teaches kids how to ride horses when they come to these camps and stuff. And one of the last things they do is break the kids up, and some of them will do, have a, I don't know what they're doing, swimming, and some of them go by horseback riding and different things. So he had 15 kids he was taking horseback riding, and he had one other guide with him. He was leading them, and they were going to a campsite from the original campsite to stay the night and then come back. And they were just going to have a nice evening, whatever. It didn't turn out that way. It turned out to be longer and weirder, and just everything just came differently to him. So he's leading the pack, and they're going through the woods on horses. And some of these kids had never been on horses before, so he's worried about them. He's got somebody helping him, but still, you got 15 kids, not all of them experienced, so that's kind of a big responsibility.
Mhm.
And it starts getting dark. It's rained, and they come upon part of their trail that a tree has fallen, and they can't continue on the trail. So he has to find a different way, and they do, and they continue. And another tree is down a little bit farther. Continue on, a third tree is down. So they're wandering around. He's not really sure where he is right now. He's hoping he knows, but he knows he's not on the main course. And it's dark. Flashlights are going out. Everything is happening. The kids are getting scared. The horses are even getting antsy. And all of a sudden, he looks up and sees this black dog. And he's like, where'd this dog come from? And he just kind of looks at it. And the dog looks at him and turns and starts going in another direction. And he looks back to see if Kenny's following him.
Wow.
So Kenny starts following him. They go through, and suffice it to say, an hour later or so, they come back to the main camp. They're 3 hours late. He's lost time. He looks around, and they're going, "Where were you? Where were you?" I said, "Actually, I got lost, but there was this dog, and he was right." "Oh, wait, where's the dog?" "Well, there was a black dog." And somebody else said, "You saw it? You saw the black dog?" And he said, "I saw a black dog, and I got back on trail, and now we're here." And they said, "You saw the black dog." So the story behind the black dog is years before this, there was a man that owned the property. He was blind, and he had a seeing eye dog. He was a black German Shepherd. And this dog led him everywhere he needed to be. When someone is lost now at this property, this dog shows up and leads them to safety.
Wow. Wow. That is cool.
Isn't that awesome?
It is. Wow.
I
That
love
gave me
stories like
chills.
this. Exactly. Every time I tell it, I get chills. I get chills. So yeah,
Wow. And so is that in your book?
it's going to be in the new one coming out.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So whole section on pets and animals, that aren't pets. So that wasn't really a pet to him, but that's
Right.
going in the pet section. Yeah.
That is very cool. And I appreciate and love that you shared that story with us.
Glad you liked it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, for some reason, my comments over here on the side have frozen up. Um, so again, if anyone is commenting over here in the live feed, I apologize. It is not showing up. So if I don't call you out here in the last few minutes of the show, I appreciate that, I appreciate you tuning in, and I apologize. But thank you so much, Cyn, for coming on tonight
I
and
have
sharing
enjoyed
your
it so
stories.
much. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah,
Anytime. Anytime.
I'll have to have you back when.
Yeah, because I've got to tell you about the Hell's Bar thing and all
Yeah.
that kind of
Well, you
stuff.
know what? Go ahead and tell us about the Hell's Bar,
You
would
want to
you?
hear it? You
Yeah,
want to hear
yeah, I do.
it? Okay, so we were asked by Mark and Walt, who is now on my team. Walt is Mr. Mountain Man. He knows how to live off the land. He is just amazing when it comes to that kind of stuff. And he knows more than any one person I think I know, other than my husband. Gotta put that in. But so Mark and Walt asked me and Sean did not get to go, but Matthew went with me, my ghost magnet, Matthew. We go and to help with their public tour that they're having at Hell's Bar. Um, they're set up in different areas. There was another team that actually went also to help. Tennessee Soul Seekers was also there.
Oh, okay, okay.
So they were down in one end of the crossroads, at the far end of the crossroads, and their job was to show different equipment, what it
Okay.
was for, that kind of thing. Matthew and my job was purely audio. We were going to show how to do audio bursts. We were going to show how to interact with spirits if we could get them to talk to us and all that kind of stuff. And one group came through, and Matthew and I were standing up. We'd already had one group, and I believe this was the second group. Matthew and I were doing our spiel. We were getting ready to do a burst session. You got to be really still because even your jacket rubbing against your
Yeah.
arm I can pick this up on my microphone. You got to be super still. So find you a spot, get comfortable, don't move.
Mm-hmm.
And they had done that. And as we were getting ready to start, now we had two recorders, one for the burst session and one we kept going the whole time. So the burst one had not started, and we were just getting ready to start it, and something came between me and Matthew, and it was just no idea what they said, but Matthew and I just looked at each other, and he said, "You heard that too?" And I said, "I heard something." It was later on we found out they were saying, "I want to get justice." We don't know if it was some of the Indians down there that,
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get justice, or we didn't know if somebody had died down there. Okay, fast forward about 20 minutes. We're done with that group. And Matthew has got to go outside to go, I don't know, maybe to the restroom. We'll just say he went outside to find the restroom. That's what I'm going to say. And so he said, "Are you going to be okay?" And I said, "Yeah, fine." So I'm sitting there in the dark and listening to my audio, not paying attention, except we had noticed before he left, there was a strange red fog kind of
Mm.
coming around, just kind of not fully there. It would just kind of come around the corner and then go away. Just a mist of some kind. No idea what it was. He comes back from outside, and he's 15 feet away on the other side of the crossroads from me. And he goes, "Cyn, are you okay?" Uh, yeah. "Are you okay?" And he said, "I'm fine. You need to come over here." And so I got up and walked across the room. He said, "Look." And I looked back, the red mist had engulfed my chair. I didn't know it. I was
Right.
sitting in it. Yeah, had no idea, didn't feel it, didn't, notice anything. And we watched it kind of go away, back. It kind of just left. Okay. We had no idea. Now I get this EVP and I'm not really sure what it is. Is it a military cadence? It had some kind of rhythm to it, but I couldn't figure it out. It almost to me sounded like a military cadence. I was asking everybody. Nobody could help me figure out what it was. I couldn't figure out any words, nothing. 4 years later, I'm talking to Mark and I said, and we're talking about Hell's Bar, and I said, I've still got that EVP. I cannot figure it out. And he said, send it to me. So I emailed it and he listened. He goes, that's the Indians. And I said, the Indians? He said, yeah, the Indians that show up in the red mist. I had not told him about a red mist. I had not told him about that. He said, oh, I drew them. Let me show you. And he pulled up these pictures that he had drawn of these Indians that had come out of the mist to talk to him. They had like black paint and red paint on their faces. Very long time ago, very long time, way before Hell's Bar was ever thought of. And yeah, and
wow.
That's what I'd caught on EVP. He said, yeah, that's their call when they're coming out of the mist to talk to you.
Well, wow, that's cool. That is very cool.
So Hell's Bar is a great place to go to if you get a chance. Great place.
It is. I've investigated that one, I guess, on about 6 different occasions.
Have you?
That's been the one place that I had, and this was just on one occasion, that I had something follow me home. Now, well, I say it's from there because things were happening right after that investigation. And it was really more of just a traveler. And it, after I acknowledged and really kind of looked into what was going on, it went on.
So you didn't have to do too much to get it to go.
No, it left on its own. Yeah.
Good.
And, but I love Hell's Bar. I mean,
it's great. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Have you been since they changed ownership?
I have not. Haven't been there in about probably 4 years, I guess.
Okay.
So, and I've only been there twice as it is. There's so many places, and it seems like more and more places keep popping up. Mm-hmm. And there's just so many I want to go to. I want to go over to Brushy Mountain. Haven't made it there yet.
Brushy's great.
Is it great?
Brushy is great. And then when you go to Brushy, you'll have to drive an hour up. Well, it's 45 minutes up north to our jail that we're opening and check it out. Yeah. It's about 45 minutes north of Brushy. Brushy's really good. I've investigated that one on 6 different occasions as well. Wow. And it's been neat to watch that one because the first 5 times I investigated it, it wasn't open to the public. It was the first 2, they didn't even have any of the distillery or any of that built. I mean, it was just when it had been closed, and it had they had the concept of what they were going to do, but they didn't have an opening date. And so the last time I investigated, it was when it was completely open. It was a collaboration investigation. And honestly, it's been really cool to watch the activity kind of shift from how it was when not a lot of people were going, but they were just going to investigate. And then all of a sudden, it's now a big tourist destination that has, hundreds of people going through it on a daily basis. And investigations, usually so many a month. So how
has that energy changed then to you?
For me, it's kind of hard to explain. I know there were certain areas that did have darker activity that they told you, not to go. It used to be death row. They used to say, don't go to death row or D block before you go anywhere else, because the spirits that are there, this one particular one, will follow you around. That's all you'll get for the rest of the night.
Wow.
That's since shifted, at least when I was there, 2 years ago, that's shifted to more of the auditorium area. and I don't know if it's just because they were directing people, not to go there, or if it's with the flow. I'm not sure why that's moved. So they've had activity move. Um, I mean, we would see, and some of it was related to Native American activity. So we saw, that's where I saw my first shadow figure. Um, and then it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely evolved. It's kind of hard to explain. It's evolved in the activity in the sense that, it's, and I'm just speaking from my perspective, that, I mean, they get a lot of people coming in and talking to them. So they
Right.
know how to manipulate the tools and,
Do you think it's
communicate.
more active now than when you first went?
Uh, I thought it was more active before.
Really? Before?
Yeah, I thought
See,
so. Yeah.
I don't think they like all the people. They just don't.
And I mean,
You
and
know?
that's just from my experience, because you know how it is. You and I can go in 2 different nights, and we get and ask the same questions, do the same things, and we may get something totally different. So I'm just
Completely
speaking,
different.
yeah, I'm just speaking from my perspective, because
Right.
I will sometimes sleep at some of these locations, and they don't allow it now, but I actually slept there alone in the whole area. And so, I mean, it was extremely, extremely active. And when I went back, that was the fourth time I investigated. The sixth time, it was a little quieter. I mean, we got some full sentence EVPs. It was just a different intensity, I think. But that could have also been because the one time I was there by myself, the other time was a
Right.
collaboration. It very well.
Yeah. I would think that would make a big difference too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they tend to kind of want to bully,
Hmm.
especially from what I've heard of that
Hmm.
place.
Hmm.
They would be bullies
Yeah. Yeah.
and kind of, especially push a woman around.
Mhm. Because it's
So,
different, and there is so much different activity. I mean, there's certain places you've been able to pick up children. There are certain places that have more Native American type activity, and then there are some. I mean, we had when I investigated, and I've kind of evolved. You know, I was with a team the first couple times I investigated there. Then the other times I was solo, and so the first part, of course, James Earl Ray was there, and there was the racial tensions with during the time that this had happened and the nature of the case. We actually had a Hispanic guy on the team, and so he went in this one area with one of the other guys, and we believe that I mean, we were getting racial slurs and
wow.
some real intense negative activity in that vein. And I believe that they were because I think they were actually guards that
Oh, they
he
might have
was picking
been.
up. Yeah, it was near one of the guard towers when he picked that up. And it's interesting because the Hispanic guy was getting completely, when he would talk, he was getting completely different responses than what one of the other white guys on the team had gotten. And
Wow.
so, during that time when James Earl Ray was there in the mountains of East Tennessee, when he escaped, they actually had guards and people who were essentially sort of, as sad as the situation is, especially talking about it now, and the climate that we're in now. It was interesting. You would have guards who would try to throw the federal agents off if they were kind of covering for him, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, to send the feds in a different direction. So,
Oh,
yeah, and that was just a few of the guards. Obviously, not all of them, but some of them, when he escaped, they would go and they were supposed to, I think, shoot their rifle to designate where to go. And so they were trying to throw off. So it would make sense. Now, it could have been prisoners, but it was interesting that we believe that some of the things that were being said may have been a guard.
yeah, that's very interesting.
Hmm.
And I mean, that sounds highly, highly probable that it was the guards then.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you could have had anybody there
Mm-hmm.
talking to you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So
and
it's
that's the thing, you never know who you're going to get.
exactly. And I mean, it's just very interesting activity, because I mean, yes, you are in a prison, so you're probably going to get some of the worst people, probably a little more negative, a little more bullying and such going on. Um, it's just there's just so many stories that come out of there that you could probably go and investigate every day for a year and cover a different story every day you go
Yeah.
in. And so
Yeah.
I really like that. That's why I really like investigating there, just because there's so much.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
One of these days I'll get there. One of these days.
Well, let us
There's
know when you do, because it's
Yeah,
in our neck of the woods over here.
that would be awesome. That would be great.
Yeah.
There's just so much,
So
and you too. If you're ever down here, let me know.
I definitely will. I definitely will. I know
There's so much down here too.
that's the great thing about here in Tennessee. There's just a lot of great locations to go
Mhm.
check out. Everything from large scale locations like we talk about with Brushy and with Hell's Bar to, I mean, lots of little cemeteries and just lots of local legends that I know our mutual friend Eric Freeman Sims. I know he talks a lot
Yes.
about the local, folklore and legends, which I love to cover. And there's just so much in this area to check out.
And it seems like the more you learn, the more you figure out that you don't know,
Yes,
right? I mean, there's
that's
just
exactly true.
so much. So
That's
much.
exactly true. And it just it does. I mean, that's why I love doing this and investigating with other people and watching their stuff, because I feel like I learn something every
You
time.
do.
Yeah.
You do. Yeah, yeah. And for anybody out there thinking about wanting to investigate, go with different groups and see how they do, because every group is different. And it's
Absolutely.
not that one is better than the other or anything like that. They just investigate differently, and they've got different team members that might
Mhm.
pull different energy, and whatever. One of them might be better at the camera than
Mhm.
somebody in the other group is, or whatever. But you can learn so much, even with little questions they might ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's amazing.
It really is. And so, if you want to, as we wrap up, tell everyone again how they can find you, find your books, the best way to reach out, and we'll do that and close the show out.
You can find me at elkvalleyparanormal.com. Make sure you look at all that evidence we've got. You can pull down the evidence menu, and you'll see all the EVPs from their speaking. And make sure you look at that book, and you can go right along with the book and listen to the EVPs as well. Some are funny, some are sad, some are will just knock your socks off. You're not going to be able to believe they said what they did. They'll be like, what? And a lot of them you're going to have to listen to several times, because just because I work with EVPs, it's easier for me to hear them now. And if you're just starting out, you're going to have to listen to them over and over and over. It's best with headphones or earbuds, so you can really concentrate and listen over and over. Don't give up. Don't ever give up, because even if you don't hear it today, you might tomorrow, or
Exactly.
you're going to hear another EVP sometime. You can also find me on Facebook, Cyn Shrader Hill author. Got all the book information there. We're also, the Elk Valley Paranormal page is on Facebook as well. And I'd be happy to talk to you. Just reach out and let me know if you enjoyed the show. Let me know if you've got some stories for me. Remember, I'm also doing a scary book coming up after this lighter version. So it's going to be darker stories of things that have happened, and weird situations we've gone into that maybe we shouldn't have, looking back going, oh, that was not good. Some things that have happened there, so anyway, that's coming up. We'll see what happens
Awesome.
after that.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely have to have you back to share some different stories
Would love
and
to.
to fill us in on your book and all of that good stuff. So we'll be in touch about getting another date set up for when you can come back and talk with us.
That sounds so great. I've loved talking to you. You are fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so
Yes,
much. And
yes,
and
I've enjoyed it.
and thanks to everyone that's been in the chat room. Everything finally unfroze, and so I was able to see your comments. So thank you guys so much for tuning in with your questions, your comments, and for making this show what it is every week. If you guys didn't tune in and watch, we wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you all so much. A couple show notes for shows that are coming up. We don't have a scheduled show for next week because again, the grand opening is next Saturday, but depending on how we are at getting everything set up, we may have a special Ghost Biker Garage live from the jail next Thursday night with myself and Dr. Sumner. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. If everything is going well and we're getting things set up, we may actually go live from the jail and do next week's show there. Also, the grand unlocking ceremony that is next Saturday, September 4th, from noon until 4 p.m. We've blasted information, and we're going to be doing that all week long. So, so if you've not heard of it, go check out the historic Scott County Jail Facebook page and website, www.historicscottcojail.com. And you can book paranormal investigations now. I think we've got our first paranormal investigation there coming up soon. So anyways, those are just a few things coming up. We do have events coming up in September as well. The Haunted Ride with Ghost Biker will be September 25th, I believe. We've not announced the motorcycle route yet, but we will be doing that soon. And that will be ending at the historic R.M. Brooks general store like it typically does, with a great bike night event. And then some things coming up in October that we're trying to get set up. So it's been a little bit of a different type year and season with trying to get the jail open, still working on season 4. Right now, we're still slated to come out the first Tuesday of October, but fingers crossed we can get everything finished because like you with your self-publishing, I'm self-producing this. So self-producing that and trying to open a new business has been a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of busy days. So anyways, until next week, if you guys will pay attention to the Facebook pages, we'll be making some announcements about next week's show. But until then, you all have a great week and watch out for motorcycles. I know there's a lot of us out on the streets right now with the weather and with things turning into fall. Be careful and watch out for those motorcycles. So you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.